Sending data, and now it is streaming. Look at that. Wow. Let's kick it off.
This is the Okayest Hunter podcast. Never pass on shooter bucks, because that's just meat in the freezer. It's your tag, you hunt how you want. This is Okayest Hunter.
This is the Okayest Hunter podcast coming at you from Oconomowoc and Lake Mills tonight. Greg's in his home office. I'm in mine, aka the Okayest Hunter podcast studio out of Oconomowoc. For those that don't know, I get asked a lot, where are you guys from? Where are you from? We're from Oconomowoc, kinda, in Lake Mills and West Bend if Derek pops on. But Greg, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Good, man. How are you?
To be here doing this. It's something I've started to really look forward to because Tuesdays are very hectic. So it's nice to have this. I like our time together with you and Derek and whoever our guest ends up being, and also, our audience and the listeners and everyone else that hangs out with us. So
is it hectic due to the fact that you have this work, kids, family, everything going on at once, and you're trying to jam it all in before you do this?
Yeah, that could be it. It's a lot, man. There's a lot to juggle, and it's high stress, high octane. So this is a moment to this is like a safe space. This is like, I don't know. It's a cozy environment here in the studio. I set up that way intentionally. I got a bourbon in hand. I'm talking to my buddy. So like, it's a good place to be. I'm talking about stuff we care about deeply, or we're very passionate about. So we were going to have Nosler on. So if you listened last week and you're expecting them this week, they had to reschedule. They had some stuff come up. So they did reschedule. I don't know the date off the top of my head, but it is going to be this month yet. I think it's the 20-something. Whatever Tuesday that ends up falling on, like the 21st, maybe. I'm not going to look at it. Yeah.
25th.
Yeah, whatever I said was right.
I don't
want to look at a different tab on my computer right now. So, yeah. I'm excited to have that. It'll be a long time coming because we've talked about it for a while, and I messed up the date once, and they had to reschedule. So it's just been a lot of back and forth on that. And so, but they are a presenting sponsor, as it shows here on the screen. If you're listening and you're looking for world-class ammunition, look no further. Go to nosler.com and make sure you use code OHB to save yourself 20% off their ammo for whatever it is you're shooting, from like a rifle standpoint. Or even like a sidearm. Like they got a good stuff. They're based out of Oregon. They got the whole. I'm really excited and enthused to hear the story from their mouths and how they tell it. But yeah, good stuff. Spartan Forge had some updates come through recently. So if you're on Apple or Android or whatever phone you use, smartphone, I did go ahead and do a re-update of the app on my iPhone, and it's got some nice bells and whistles. Things are feeling pretty smooth over there. I think they've listened a lot to user feedback. One of the things that Bill had mentioned, I don't know if it was offline or on a podcast with us, but he had said when he started building the app, he felt really compelled to make it very different than Onyx, like the user interface. But if you go to Onyx or HuntWise or HuntStand, a lot of them feel the same. They all use a very similar UX, UI, user interface, user experience. And he built his differently. And some of the feedback from people I use is like, man, this feels difficult to use because we've all been trained a different way by some of the other longer term players in the market. So his stuff feels different, which feels awkward, which makes it feel like it's hard to use. But once you spend some time with it, you get a little bit more comfortable in how that one functions. And that, based on a lot of that user feedback, he's made some updates to make it a little bit easier to navigate and maybe a little less perceivably confusing for the end user. So
yeah, at the end of the day, it's just like going from an Android to an Apple.
That's a good example.
They can all do good things, but their operating
Yeah,
platform is
and his
just a
does,
little bit
some
different.
different things, so it it can't be laid out the same. It's not the same product. Rack Hub, I was talking to TJ the other day. I know Derek picked up the hardware kit that was left here for his RH2 mount, where you can mount 2 different antlers. He's going to mount those. I'm excited to see how that looks for him and what he does with it. But TJ was just holding out some like stag. Was it stag antlers? Am I saying is this stag? What? Are why do I feel
Stag,
like that feels really weird to say? Is it a red stag?
red
Like the
stag.
drink? No, like the antlers. They look like elk antlers, but also not. Like they look heavy. I think they are heavy, and
Yeah.
he's showing how like his hardware can hold up to that stuff and keep forming. It's pretty impressive. So if you're looking for an economical way to mount your memories, whether that's a shed antler you found out west, whether it's an elk, a raghorn, a stag, a whitetail, a muley, like go check them out. It's a very affordable way to put some memories on the wall in a way that maybe you probably haven't thought of before, and it's a good decorative piece that holds some memory in it. So you can use code OHP over there as well, rackhub.com. I'm wearing a Latitude hat today. I found this one in my closet. My kids knocked a box over, and I was like, "Oh, there's my
Nice hat.
Latitude hat." So pretty enthused about that. Um, excited to see what those guys are coming out with. There's not a lot of people hanging out of trees right now, but based on our episode topic of tuning your bow and shooting your bow, I will be in the backyard shooting from the saddle. Like that's just it's a must. I can't only practice standing and shooting at a target block 20 yards away. I'm going to be doing the way my yard's set up. I can't shoot. I just have to make sure my kids aren't around. Like
Right.
they don't listen the best, and 2-year-old doesn't understand what's going on. I don't need them darting into the yard as I'm flinging an arrow from a tree where I can't get down and like move them personally. So it'll be hard to find that time. But yeah. Anyway, you want to save some money there? Again, code OHP. I'm trying to get through the ad stuff quick. I know I changed up a little bit and said I wouldn't do this where I talk about them on the front end, but then I don't want to forget either. So um, we'll be talking about bear the whole time on this episode, mostly, not exclusively, but quite a bit. And Muck Boots, they're one of our newer partners, so there'll be a lot more to come from them as we get into season. We're wearing those boots. For now, I got those the clogs. They're like Crocs. They're like slippers, like rubber slippers, and I like them. They're very nice. They're durable. It's a good summer shoe because you can get them wet at the boat dock. You can get them wet with the garden hose. You can get them wet going into the creek with the kids, going fishing here and there. Wear them around the house, and they stay. It's just a nice house slipper, if you will. So again, code OHP. OHP. Just put that shit on everything at the checkout process and save yourself some coin if you can. I've had someone else. I think Bo Bilo just messaged me last night saying he just pulled the trigger on a Latitude saddle and sticks. He said, "Tell those guys they got a new customer thanks
Nice.
to the Okayest 100 podcast boys." So that was cool to hear that he checked out over there and got a new saddle coming his way. I recommend the Method too. That's
Nice.
what I recommend. That's their flagship saddle. It's a good setup.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much more you can improve on that,
Time will
but
tell.
if they're yeah, time will
Yeah.
tell. We'll see what they come up
So
with.
Greg, you made a big switch this year. You made a big switch. Let's talk about it. Well, I
You really
mean,
want to
yeah,
talk
let's
about it?
let's talk about this sign right here.
Let's just say we're out to prove that you don't need to hunt with a flagship bow, even though it's really nice to hunt with a flagship bow. And once you hunt with a flagship bow for a while, you go to something that's less expensive, cost wise, there's going to be some sort of
I love
give
your
and
give and
take,
take.
right?
You talk about give and take and everything, and it's a good way to talk about things.
There's always a trade off, though. In anything you do in life, there is a trade off. You could be having the greatest day in the world, and we've been there, just to come home at 4:45 to find out that the shit has
What
hit the
did you do?
fan.
What are you talking about? Oh, okay. I thought
I'm
maybe
just saying
something
in
happened today. I was
general.
like, shit, man, what did we get into here?
No, everything went great today. No issues. But my point
Yeah.
is there's give and take with everything. Um, at the end of the day, I'm confident that if I get a deer in front of me, once I get everything set up with this, I have no doubt in my mind I'll be able to kill a deer
That's
with
a
it.
good place to be. I mean, I'm glad you feel that way.
Yeah.
I mean,
You gotta remember there's guys that have set down, $1,600 bows to go
yeah.
to a stick bow.
Yeah, I hope to make that transition someday myself, actually. I think it's doable.
It'd be cool. There's gonna be a lot more work involved with that. So if you're gonna do that, I would suggest doing it after the kids have
That's where
grown
I
up a
hope to
bit.
be with it at that point is when I have more time on my hands and I can hone in on a craft and go into another rabbit hole. I think that'll be a fun one. I recognize now is not the time for that, and, I'd be doing everyone a disservice, especially the animal I'd be hunting. It What's kinda unique is that I think we changed just about everything you can change on a bow, the bow itself, the arrows, the rest, the sight, and what I find kind of cool about that is it's a very wide spectrum of things that we've shot and tried, and it gives you
Yeah.
a lot of experience, which isn't something that I would have ever anticipated I would have much of, and to say, "Well, I shot this and I shot that, and I shot this in between and that in between," um, that's cool. Like, that's, experience I don't think I would have if I wasn't doing what we're doing. Like, I wouldn't have these opportunities to try this
Right.
large swath of toys. Like, it's now that it's all set up, it's a toy. Now I just can't wait I'm, like, jonesing to go shoot it every chance I get. Like, I can't my wife's like, "Oh, great." It already feels like hunting season. I'm like, "What's a new bow? I gotta go shoot it." Like, what do you know?
So you have to
I
shoot it.
have to get the reps
I
in.
mean, we gotta get a couple hundred shots in to get the string, broke in,
Yep.
stretched out, whatever you wanna call it, where it needs to be. Um, we these are brand new bows. Like, you put a new
That
rest
wasn't
on
cheap.
yours, new sight. No. Um, I mine was a ready to hunt package, however, there was a malfunction with the rest, so I was gonna try and run this thing
Mhm.
as simple as possible,
I didn't know you weren't gonna use the rest.
but
I do realize that there was a malfunction.
I I was going to, but there was a problem
Sure.
with threads getting
That
stripped
just
out.
occurred to me now, though, because I know
Um,
that the rests weren't cheap. So,
yeah,
you know,
is what it is. So I had no choice. It was go with a new rest or,
could have waited for some
you
stuff
know
to arrive. I think I got a Whisker Biscuit Lane in here if you want one, if you wanna go back.
yeah, we'll
That also
see.
didn't occur to me till right now,
We'll
but,
see how this works.
you know, what was I gonna say? I mean, it is hard to this happened when I got rid of my truck and went to a car. It's hard to go backwards. Like, it feels you know what I mean? I don't know how to explain
I
it.
wouldn't say it's not hard to go backwards, it just makes you appreciate some of the
Mhm.
other things you had
Knowing how
a
much
little
you
bit
drop
more.
tuned your bow last year and not by choice. Last
2
summer, we
years
went
ago
to that
now.
shoot with, BHA, and the thing fell over.
Oh, that yeah, that was
That's
fine.
fine.
It it
The bow hanger, the whole
it
wooden
worked.
bow hanger fell over with yours,
Oh
mine,
my gosh,
and
all of our
Derek's
bows went
bow
crashing.
fell to the ground. Like,
It all
what
went crashing to the
were the
ground.
odds of that happening to us? And then, I think it was the year prior, your bow fell off the hook in the basement, and so I think at
Yep,
least having a spare
and
is kind of a nice thing to have, and you have it as a spare now where your other bow is still you don't have to take anything off of it, right?
no, I refuse to take anything off of it, like, I wanna have a backup just
Mhm.
in case something happens,
Clear yeah, like,
'cause it
yeah,
does, it seems
bow
something
hangers fall
happens
over.
every year. Yeah, and weird things happen, so I'm grateful that I have a weapon that I can rely on if a need be. I can just go right to it, pick it up, run a few arrows through it, make sure everything's on, and go out in the field
Yeah.
and hunt with it.
Um, my whole left arm is not great. I don't know what I did. No,
Have
I've
you
not had a
gone to see
chance, and I
anybody
have
about
got, contact to go see somebody, and I've yet to make that. Their hours are weird, and my hours are weird, so now it just isn't happening yet, and, I'm also of the mind of, like, deal with it and it'll go away. I've had enough problems that just kind of have they just kinda go away, and it's never explainable. So you go to
Yeah,
the
and
doctor, like, "Well, I don't know what to tell you," and I'm like, I don't know either." But
I've had that. I've had it, it just ends up being a pinched nerve because
yeah.
you slept on it wrong, and it still hinders your
So,
mobility. So, we got some question, at
be
least a
vicarious as the
question here.
boys.
Eric, what is your favorite raccoon
Well, I've
recipe?
never had it, and I've certainly never cooked it, so I don't have an answer for that question. I am open to trying it, would like to, but I've never had raccoon.
I had a little bit of it at a wild game feed. It
Mm,
was with sauerkraut, and honestly, probably like a pork roast almost.
greasy?
It was done in sauerkraut, so I'm sure it was racked and grilled because I know you're supposed to cook it to get the oil out of it. There is a gland in it that you have to make sure you remove, otherwise you're not gonna be
Jesus, what
feeling good
gland is
after you
that? Can
eat
you
it.
explain?
The main gland? I
So
have
we
no
don't know.
idea.
Alright, alright.
I can't explain.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
there's a
know
gland
everything
in a
there is to know
raccoon that
about
if you eat,
raccoons
you're not
other
gonna have a
than
good day. Good to know. So that
yeah,
I'm just not
yeah,
gonna try to mess with it
yeah.
myself.
But I've had it with sauerkraut, it tasted
Okay.
like pork roast almost. That's the only thing I could compare it to, but it's with sauerkraut. If you ever make a pork roast with sauerkraut in a crock pot, it's pretty tasty. The acid of it helps break it down. Yeah, there is a gland in each
Pretty easy
leg.
to find. Alright, good to know.
Yep. But I have never like the most I've done with raccoons is I would nuisance trap them and skin them out, and this was way back in the early 2000s. And I would skin them out and scrape the pelts, and then I had a buddy who was a really good trapper. He helped me stretch them and clean them, and then we would turn them in and sell them. They were actually fetching good money, 20 years ago, or now they're not worth a dime. It really sucks.
Yeah, interesting. Could make a good hat of a raccoon.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's what a lot of them are going
my
for.
son likes raccoon hats. Every now and again, it shows up in weird pictures. I don't know where it is right now, but he'll find it, and it'll happen at a weird point in time. So there's that. Greg, the bow tuning stuff. So I shot from 20 and 40. I got my 20 and 40 in up and down. My left to right still needs some adjusting because I've run out of room to adjust with the dial that's on there. So I have to
Yeah, you went in like head first. Like I I would not have probably shot from 20 right away. I go closer. I usually go 5 then 10 just to make sure my left and right is on and elevation is good. So you went right in swinging at 20 yards and at least you were shooting at a pretty good sized foam
could
block
handle,
that
yeah.
if one
It dropped. I mean,
yeah,
my
it
first
could
shot,
handle it.
I was shooting 20 yards, but my dial was set to 50 to hit where I was aiming. So then you mark it, then you go up to 40, shoot till you hit the mark there, then you retape it so your actuals are in line. So my actuals are in line up
Sure.
down. My left right's really close, but it needs probably just a minor adjustment to get. But I can't make a minor adjustment because I'm out of room. So I got to like take it off, put it back on, and redo left and right, which I think I can make pretty quick work of it.
Yeah, you just gotta keep in mind where you're at with it now
The whole
and then
follow
where
the
you need
arrow
to go
thing,
with it.
I know it's supposed to be like, well, you go the same direction. Boy, oh boy, I tell you, man, between zeroing in a rifle and zeroing in a bow, they're opposite. And because they're opposite, then I start to get opposite. And then I'm like, what is happening? I cannot keep it straight. I cannot keep it straight. And then I'm like, do I turn the dial left or right? So then I'm like figuring out, okay, then I get stuck there, then I lose my train of thought, then I go back. It's a total shit show. Like I need someone there to help me keep my shit together when I'm dialing this stuff in
Sure.
because I'm like, okay, 5 clicks, and I don't see any movement. I'm like, well, that's not moving. What's happened? Like I just, it's just a total. It's stressful for me, man. It's stressful for me because I'm always just about to mess something up. Is how I feel.
Well, and what you got to remember too is you got a pivot point, and then you got a launching point, and that is where you're getting probably confused. Your pivot point needs to be brought over one way or the other to make the other match, and that's where people always get lost.
So when people say follow
So
the arrow, if I'm
having somebody
shooting,
that,
I'm okay. Let's talk about
if
my
you're
scenario. I'm
shooting
shooting to
right,
the right by
all right,
6 to 8 inches, 20.
at what yardage?
So then my
Okay,
sight needs to move to the right. So so this is
correct.
how I'm gonna remember it now. I'm teaching myself. I'm learning. No,
Just
let me
take your
tell.
hand,
Yeah,
take
yeah. But let me
take your
hold on.
hand like this.
I have a way I think I can remember this. Let me see if this. Tell me if this is accurate.
Okay,
Follow the arrow from. I was aiming at the bullseye. Use your sight to follow where the arrow actually is. Is that what that means? Because if I were gonna follow the arrow, here's what I thought. I need to follow it back to the left. It needs to go left, so move the sight to the left. And that's where I'm getting it all fucked up.
right. So if you take your hand, this
Okay.
is the string. Take your
Okay.
other hand, this is the sight. You're
Yes.
hitting to the right. In order to bring that back in line, you have to change the pivot point,
Okay.
which you can't do, or you have to change the sight. So in order to bring that over in line, you have to move
But I moved
right.
left when I just did that little example with you. So what just happened?
Mhm.
I don't know.
He's
I think I'm gonna go
lost.
with my way of thinking to get to the same outcome.
Oh,
Because how
just
you
follow
explained
your
it made
arrow.
me feel confused. Damn it. I think I'm just stupid. I think I'm just slow and dense.
Yeah. So if you move it right, you're taking your pivot point and
So I
having
would
to
end up
come
further. I would
back
end up further off the.
to it. No, you would end up bringing it back
I'm
to the
shooting to the
left.
right, so I need to move it to the right. Yeah.
Move your sight to the right, which then you have to take and move your pivot point, your string, to find the sight. You're going to be pulling
Yeah,
to the
that
right.
makes sense.
Trust
But
me.
my thought was like, oh, if it needs to go left, move it left. If it needs to go right, move it right. That's how I thought follow the arrow meant. Which is funny because I can zero in a rifle, no problem, because I know it's opposite. So then I'm like, if I shoot, so this is what
Rifle's
happened.
different.
This is it. I think this is it. So if I shoot to the right with my rifle, I dial to the left. So
Yeah.
that seems logical to me, even though it's opposite. Bow it seems fucking confusing to me because it's not opposite. So explain that, man. I don't know what goes on in my brain, but that was a real difficult process to go through.
Well, your pivot point is in your rifle, and your sight is on top of it. So I don't know what else to say. It's a different beast altogether.
You want your help, but he's going to tell you how. Yes, leave. I just need to like have a sounding board to make sure what I'm saying is correct. I need to understand it my own way, but I need to have someone smarter than me to validate and
Mhm.
confirm. Yes.
Well, I don't know if I'm
Well,
smarter than you,
I
but
mean, you
I do
certainly
what I
know
can
your
to help.
shit here more than I do. So I don't know if it's a smarter thing, but maybe it's an experience thing or training or
Chalk it up to experience. I've been shooting a bow a little bit
I could shoot
longer
this
than
thing
you
for another
have,
50 years. I'm still gonna fuck this
and
up.
I've screwed up plenty of
Yeah.
stuff in my day,
So
so that's how you learn.
so there's that, and then I mean, I don't know, we're shooting different arrows now. Um, I got the grizzly stick. I have one right here. This is the Momentum TDT 320 plus
Mhm.
0.003. Is that the spine?
Yep. Well, that's the straightness of the spine, but it's a 320 spine, 0.003 tolerance to straightness, which is better than a 0.005 or a
Okay.
0.008. They're they're about as straight as you can get.
And What's our FOC
refractive
on
blanks.
these? Because there is some hardware at the front of this arrow.
Couldn't tell you. I really don't know what our FOC is because I didn't take yours and build them like I
It
have
says
in years
320 on
past.
this. So there's an outsert and it says 320.
That just means it's built for that blank. So that arrow shaft is a 320 spine. It has a certain outside diameter at the end. And by the way, those TDTs, those are a tapered shaft. So at the front, they're
Oh,
wider than they are
really?
at the back.
Wider at the front.
Yep. You're not really gonna why? Because the front is like clearing the
Oh,
path for the
yeah,
back.
that's a yeah.
Does that make sense? It's wider up
Okay.
front and skinnier in the back. It's cutting more wind out of the way, so it makes it more efficient, less drag.
And I got 125 grain
So that's a tape.
practice tip on here.
Yep.
So I would need to then go to 125 which I think I have. I have the the samurai broadheads.
Yeah, I think
I
you're
have them
shooting the
upstairs,
samurai.
by my hunting stuff.
Yeah, they're a single bevel, nice and easy to resharpen if you put one in the dirt. Um, I'm shooting the Masai. I think we got Derek a set of
He was shooting those at
samurais,
pigs when he
or
went
we got
out
him.
to down to Texas, but they never hit any pigs with their bows.
No, they
Yeah, I don't even know if they
never
shot.
shot. I don't even know
Yeah.
if they shot it. They use the nozzlers instead.
Nozzler putting down the pigs. So I mean, that's a lot of new stuff to learn. Last year, shooting the old method, ZMR, the Bear Legend XR, and whatever rest I've had for forever.
Yeah, you had that old
It seems to
ripcord on
work.
there, which that's a very proven
Yeah,
design. They
I
work
never
well.
had an issue with that. I don't know what I mean. What am I getting with a rest? Is it just ensuring? Because now we have a QAD. We have the same one, you and I. It's what
Yeah, the design is the concept is the same. It's a
is it? Just
drop away rest, and it's got a cam in it. When you release or when you pull back, you kind of preload it. When you let go, the inertia carries it through and allows it to drop away. There's a little bit of timing
and the
involved,
timing
but that gets
is to
taken care of.
ensure that you're so this is why whisker biscuit yes,
Clearing the
because
rest
it
with the
then you don't want
fletchings.
drag or fishtailing, or you don't want the arrow to come out and have something else impact it. And with a whisker biscuit, unless I mean, even if your fletchings are aligned the way they're supposed to be with a whisker biscuit, because there's the hard spot and the soft spots on those, it's still passing through something. So it is introducing another component in the physics of arrow flight that you probably don't want, but I don't know if the benefit of a whisker biscuit outweighs some of that other stuff because it's just always in place. You're not losing it, you're not dropping, it's not moving,
Sure. The benefit to a whisker biscuit is simplicity.
no moving
You
parts.
know, if I take you no moving parts, and if I take you through the hellhole marsh and swamp places that I have, you have less chance of screwing
String
something
can
up
get
there because
caught
there's
or
no cable, no cable tie or anything to get caught into brush. Um, you're doing much better that way.
yeah, but then you're
So,
sacrificing maybe a little bit of back. It's a trade-off.
you're sacrificing
Mm,
feet per second down the range, yeah. I mean, if you're shooting at a deer 20 yards
right,
away,
right.
it's not gonna be much of a difference. If you're shooting at an elk 80 yards away, yeah, it's gonna knock some speed
It's
down,
basically like free
definitely.
floating your arrow, says Andrew in the comments.
Yeah, I see that.
Uh,
Yep.
I mean, it's cool to talk about some of this stuff because, like, fundamentally, I started with a whisker biscuit, and I think that was a fine solution for me. I was happy that I didn't have to think about mechanical things. Obviously, I am challenged when I think through this stuff. I cut my finger open 2 years ago because I thought my arrow wasn't going to stay in place, which is also stupid. Like, of course it is. But for some dumb reason, I thought I had to have my finger there when I was drawing back. So, broadheads are sharp.
Mhm.
But so
Especially
with
that
my,
one.
the new one I have and even the old one, the ripcord one, like, I always lift those first, or right when I put the arrow in, I
Yes.
lift it manually, even though it'll automatically rise up when I'm drawing back. I don't like that
Yeah,
because if your arrow wiggles around or you're at a weird angle, you miss that. You don't get it doesn't catch the arrow and the inside of where it needs to catch, and now you got a different problem on your hand.
Yeah, I've always lifted and locked mine into place, so when I
It's
do come
already
to
there.
full draw, I don't have to worry
Yeah.
about that arrow
When I'm
bobbling
target
out.
practicing, I
Yeah,
guess I don't care as much. But I'm in the field. I raise that bitch up and I'm locked and loaded, right? Like the arrow's knocked, the rest is up, locked, and it's hanging in the tree ready to go. I'm not gonna worry about that when I'm out hunting. Oh, darn it. I thought I got rid of that.
yeah.
Okay, hopefully that'll stop. Man, why does it do that? Like, it shouldn't be ringing. I don't have my ringer on, so it's like the computer. Yeah, it's super,
But it
super annoying.
is.
Everything's
Yeah,
connected.
yep.
We're on
Ring
TikTok
right
too.
through.
Hi, Huntco. Hello. Good to see you. Um, excuse me. So I guess when you're getting a bow, one of the comments I saw, I made a post on my personal, I think, and we did it on the OK Center thing about tuning stuff up and getting all set. But I think it was Alex Buchan. Am I saying her last name correctly? I'm probably getting it wrong, and
Probably.
she's gonna shred me. But I also don't have any resources done on my phone on me. I'm not gonna open another tab. She's a feisty one on the internet, but she commented to someone, Scott Ford, who's a buddy of mine. I used to work with him back in the day. Good dude. I think they're both coming to Foam Fest, by the way. Foam Fest is going to be August 31st, the literal last Saturday in August, at Horkin Archers. So she was saying, like, you don't have to get all this new stuff. You can get into a bow fully outfitted, for a pretty low price point. I don't know what that price point is now. Like, I, for some reason, still think cars used should cost 5 to 10 grand or something like that. And like
Right.
that 5 to 10 grand 10 years ago, or 5 to 10 years ago, is now 15 to 20 grand. It just it
Yeah,
just
it's probably
is.
more like
I was like,
20.
What? Where are all the $5,000 cars?" What is
There aren't any.
they are
Well,
on their
they're
way to
on
the
their way to the
junkyard. They are
junkyard.
250,000 miles, rust buckets. You can't get a decent used car for like under 15 to 20 grand. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I don't think so. I spent a lot of time looking for this when I got rid of the truck. So I don't know if bows have followed the similar trajectory of economic inflation. I don't know what it like. Bear is a great partner because they have very economical price points for their bows. Like $500,
Yes.
a ready to hunt could be in your hand. Meaning, out of the box, it has everything. It's got the balancer on there, if that's what you call a stabilizer. It's got a
Stabilizer,
sight
wrist
and
wrist
a
strap,
rest.
sight. It has a rest, a quiver, the
You're
quiver
good to
mount,
go. And Joe,
and it's even got a peep put in it. All you have to do is take it to the shop and get the peep
so
aligned to
it's
where you
pretty great. I
need it.
mean, Joel, who won one of those 2 years ago at Foam Fest, because we're giving those away at Foam Fest again, even this year. He won one and out of the box brought it on the 3D course and he didn't lose a single arrow. Like, that's impressive. To say ready to hunt, like,
Mhm.
I wouldn't recommend you go and do that. I would, you're gonna want to shoot it. Um,
Yeah, you need to
yeah,
tune it. You need to get it set for your draw length and get the peep sight put where it needs to be in the string and have it served in
but what they mean is that
properly.
it's
And,
fully outfitted. It has all
and
the components.
but it's outfitted with all the parts and pieces that
A
you
buddy of
need
mine,
to make it shoot.
Chris, is getting very curious about archery and bow hunting, and the more we talk, the more he keeps asking, and now we have invites to each other's houses to he's got a bow that he's got. It's not fully set up yet. I have mine that I can let him try out. So we're gonna do that. We might recruit a new hunter into hunting, a good dude. And
Cool.
I mean, he loves golf. So like it's gonna be hard to pull him away from golf. But nonetheless, uh where I'm going with this is I don't know. Someone just commented. Andrew Howard said flagship in 2008 was about a grand. That is not the case now. I mean, bottom is probably 12 to 1500. Top line, you're paying. I mean, if you consider getting a bow fully
Yeah.
outfitted, you're 2 to 3 grand.
And honestly, from 2008 to 2016 is when I first bought my very own first brand new bow to my credit. Every other one was used, by several years. In some cases, a decade old already. But I think mine was like almost $1,300 in 2016. So it came up a little
Yeah.
bit in price, but not terribly, not in
And it's all
comparison to what they
relative
are
for the time
now.
frame. Like back then, that was still a lot of money. That's like, iPhones or whatever were $600 to $800 and like, what? And now I think they're I don't know how much they are now. Like, what are they, $1,500 for a fucking phone? But
Yeah,
it's a computer and you have it
yeah.
with you all the time and blah blah blah. But it's commoditized, so you don't want to pay for it. Archery, I the first bow I bought, so my dad gave me his Dart and Viper dual cam. I put a whisker biscuit on it and 3-pin fixed 3-pin fixed it. I remember when I had to make adjustments, I had to Allen wrench each one of those single pin sights. What a
Yep.
pain in the ass. I will tell you, that almost got me out of archery, man. Like,
You know what's even more fun, Eric, is the old school Cobra T bracket with the brass pins that were fine thread, and they had a painted pearl blue dot
sure,
or
none of the
red
none
or
of the
white.
fiber
They
optics
were
bringing
literally
light
a
through and all
glass.
that.
Yep.
No.
It
Oh, man.
wasn't
I
even
remember when that
fiber
came out, I was
optic.
like, this is some
As basic
space
as
age
it
shit.
came.
My dad showed me fiber optics. I'm like, "What do you mean it's lit up, but there's no light?" Yeah, I remember
That
seeing it. I
came in
was
the
so
'90s,
enthralled. I was like, "That's the coolest thing I'd ever seen."
and all they were little pieces
Yeah.
of fiber optic plastic, clear plastic that
Yep.
were green or yellow
Pink, whatever, yeah.
or orange, and yeah, pink, and they literally pushed into the end of
Yeah.
that fine thread pin, and all you had to do is walk through the brush and break them
They
off.
broke off. Yeah, mine
You'd break them
got
off all
brittle
the
and
time,
broke, and so
all the
not only
time.
that, you're making these sloppy adjustments with an Allen wrench every time. There's no clicking, it's just like a free fall if you go too far. I'm like, "Shit, where was I?" Then I learned I had to mark things. It was a shit show. But then my bow that I got after that, I bought my first bow from my buddy Dave, uh, who lives up north now, and he had bought too many bows because he was on a Craigslist freaking extravaganza bender. He's like, "Dude, I have too many bows. I need to sell you one before my wife finds it. I'll sell you this Bear Empire for $150." It had the sight, it had the rest, it had the stabilizer. I already had a release, and I was set. And that's the first bow I killed anything with, and I
Yeah,
killed, a few deer with that bow, including my first buck. So, like, it was a single cam bow. It didn't have a ton of, like, speed, but it was quiet because that single cam, and it was comfortable for me. I liked it.
yeah,
Um, I just
and my f my first bow was a single cam bow also. It was in, I think I was a sophomore in high school. I bought it off of a guy, uh, in my metal shop class. Like, he was a guy that would go out and buy a new bow and get another one the next year. So I got it at a pretty decent deal, but it was a single
hmm,
cam Matthews Feather Max.
yeah.
So I had that deer all the way that bow all the way into my 20s and shot my first deer with it, and then moved on from it to, a Matthews Adrenaline, which is also another single cam bow, and
Can't believe
very
we
forgiving and
converted you
easy
to from
pulling back. I
Matthews to
kill a ton of
Bear.
deer with that.
You
Kinda
totally
didn't
did.
have a choice now,
Derek got a
did I?
choice. He said, "No, I'm good." Um, but I'm happy to support them, and they seem to be happy to support us, and I couldn't be more enthused. Like, I don't I align with their mission and their ethos, and I love that Fred Bear's mission was to get a bow in everyone's hand, and their price points reflect that in today's economy. Like, it's doable. My kids shoot bears right now. They have 2 bear youth bows with bear arrows that they're shooting into a target block. Like, Bear is a brand that I feel like I grew up with in some way for some reason. Be
Well, same here. There was Bear Jennings way back when, and I had a Jennings Black Lightning that I shot from age 11 all the way to 15, I think. That's when I bought
yeah.
the Matthews.
Matthews has a they have a I think they have a good brand. I think one of the things that, Alex said in the comment that I was referring to is just the price point at what you can get into a bow. So I don't know what that looks like now, but look, I got into
Mm,
one fully outfitted for $150 because a buddy had to drop it like it was hot before his wife came home. He had 3 bows in the garage. So maybe that was
yeah,
unique, but Craigslist isn't a thing. Facebook
but
Marketplace is, I think you could get a fully outfitted bow for a great price used if it's a few generations old and still just a great bow. Maybe you have to pay for a new string or something like that. That's a fine way to get started. Um, if you go to buy new, you're gonna have to buy all the bells and whistles to get it ready to go.
Right. Well, you can get a Bear Adapt compound bow all packaged up, ready to go,
The adapts are
ready to
what the
hunt
Hunting Public
package.
guys helped design and use. That bow's really forgiving. That's why
Yeah,
they
at Scheels, it's
Jeez, that's great.
549. That's cheap. For 550 bucks, you can get into a pretty
Yep.
it's ready to hunt. You just gonna go put the time in at the range, get it tuned and get it dialed in and get
What's the
arrows and
bottom of,
broadheads and
Matthew's price
start
point? Like, what, just I'm and it's not a pit against that, I'm not even
let's
gonna
see.
talk about Hoyt because I don't give 2 shits
No.
about Hoyt. Nothing against him. It's not my jam. Never been,
Oh, you got Matthews PSC. I mean, Matthews and Hoyt are probably up there as what
what's
most
the
most
Elite Archery is one
expensive.
I've heard of, that's a good price point.
Elite. Yeah, their business model's just a little bit different than everybody's, and that's why they can keep their price
I haven't
point
looked into the
probably more
business model. It's
competitive.
interesting. I But what I was gonna say is, like, it's like a new truck. All the brands are pretty good. At a certain price point, I don't think you're gonna have, like, what used to exist back in the day where, like, Fords were a pile of poos and Chevys were good and like, I think I think those days have passed. I think we've reached a level of technological advancement that most everything you're gonna buy at a certain price point is pretty damn good. It's just a matter of what your preference points are. Do you want the leather seats, heated steering wheel, the power windows? What is it that you want that's gonna make you feel comfortable and confident with something? That's where I think the dollars will start to jump in major ways. Uh, that's my opinion. But I
Yeah.
if you're talking about, like,
Well,
company business models and
and
missions and so forth, again, it's Bear for me all day. Like, I don't hear about Matthew's mission. I don't even know what it is. I don't hear about Hoyt's mission. I don't even know what it is. Like, I don't they probably have missions. I'm assuming they do. They're probably great companies. Um, maybe someone will comment what it is or call in.
yeah, I mean, Matthews probably changes their mission statement every so often. It all
It's like the
goes off
Marine
of
Corps.
marketing, but
The Marine
to be
Corps has had the
to be
same
fair,
uniform
you're
since the
not
beginning of the Marine Corps, and every other branch has changed out their uniforms all the time to be modern and with the times, but not the Marine Corps. It's the same dress blues all the time. It's tried and true. Did I just compare Bear to the Marines? Maybe.
hmm, well, just doing some digging here, like, I'm not really finding pricing on Matthews because they usually go through Matthews
Hmm.
exclusive dealers. You're you're definitely not going to, Cabela's or Bass Pro to buy a
You gotta
Matthews
go to
bow
an archery shop.
because yeah, they require people with a certain skill level to be able to properly tune those bows and work on them. You're not gonna buy parts from Matthews if you break something, you have to go through a dealer. For Bear's just, because of its price point and they're trying to get more out there, they're available in more places like Shields.
Now, Shields
Not to
makes
say that I
other,
would go
companies that they work with go through Shields Academy or whatever they call it, where they all the Shields people have to learn from the manufacturers, like, how to talk about the brands and the products and so forth. Like, it's actually pretty cool, man. Shields has got a really big, like, trapping selection and all sorts of stuff. I mean, we're not sponsored by Shields in any way, shape, or form, but
they actually do carry Matthews
they're a
bows,
great
I'm just
retailer,
looking
man.
right
That
here.
I've heard nothing but good things from them from every brand. It's not the same for other retailers that seem to beat the shit out of companies. And for the consumer, it's a good experience too. I wish there was one closer to home here.
Yeah, you gotta go away to Appleton to get to it, but you can try on different boots and different brands of camo that are,
Mhm.
typically high end.
And
They
we got a
have
fleet
things
farm
there,
here, but it's
so
gone downhill since it got bought up
yeah.
by private equity.
I don't even think it was never uphill, it was never
There
on
was
the
a
hill. The Oconomowoc
yeah.
store has always been, "Look, it's big, but
No,
they don't
no,
have
the
jack
one in
shit in it." There's
Waukesha?
nothing
And, well, there was one in Germantown that always had a lot of stuff in it. Yeah.
Germantown was always the best one, by far. Germantown, Beaver Dam, those 2 always had the most stuff on the shelves.
Andrew, uh is in the comments here. I'm just trying to catch up. Um, he had the
Yeah.
old mongoose brass pinzy, so that was a little bit ago. Um,
Yep. PSC Spirit, Pulleys and Teardrops,
Diamond's my
yeah, all
favorite
that fun
bow.
stuff.
Commercial was for the Iceman. There isn't much they can tell you these days. With archery tackle, I feel like showing people works better, so I think that's why influencer marketing seems to be the way. Well, you know why? I mean,
Yep.
I won't go down this path very long because no one ever tells me if they like to hear the business bullshit I talk about. But if you're a bow manufacturer or an arrow manufacturer or anything to do with a weapon, you can't advertise on paid social. So influencers are the way to get the word out on those platforms because even your organic reach is like usually they'll make a post and they'll say, "Sorry, we're not going to show anybody new this post." Then you already get a shit percentage of your followers seeing your content anyways organically. So it's not that they have to rely on influencers, but like it's a effective way for them to still reach us on the places we as consumers spend time and consume content. And they're specifically any weapon stuff. They have to play by a different set of rules because they don't have all the same capabilities like a sunglasses company might be able to do, or something that doesn't involve throwing projectiles through the air at high velocity.
Right.
So that's my 2 cents on that. I said I wouldn't do it very long. Look at that. I held to it. Yeah,
You
yeah,
did
how
pretty
about
good.
that? How about them apples? I've swore a few times. I got the swear jar down here.
It actually looks like it got
No, I
empty.
haven't
Were
touched
you,
it.
you
I've
in need of a cup of
pre-populated with
coffee
some
or
dollars
something?
to get ahead of this. You should just put a 20 in every week. That'll pay for our elk hunting trip whenever we decide to do it someday. And you can
Right.
thank my potty mouth for the hunting trip. Yeah.
There you
Whoever
go.
thought you'd be able to swear as much as I do, and it's okay.
Well, you offend a few, but, they either
Yeah,
get over it or they move
I
on.
thought I had a beep in here. I thought I had a you know what, Greg, go yourself. Like I could totally beep it out, I guess. You have one too, see? Maybe I should have that on the ready more frequently. But it's like I don't know that I'm gonna swear. It just slips right out. I can't even help it. It's really hard to control. Got it.
Have you been putting into the
No, but
Wisconsin
I probably
elk lotto
should
at all?
because I mean the chance of winning are slim to none. But if you won, it'd be freaking great.
Yeah, be able to check it off your list. Got to go hunt elk
It'd be an
in,
easier
the home
trip than
state.
going anywhere else to go do it. It's way cheaper. And you kinda know where they
Well, I
are,
mean,
like,
and
there's only yeah.
there's 2 areas, and they're just I don't know if you read that study. I just kinda skimmed through part of it, but it sounds like they're gonna open up the hunt area to, the
Hmm,
southern unit, which is
okay.
around Black River
Right, so the
Falls.
herd's growing and expanding and moving.
Yeah. Well, those are the elk that they're finding roaming around down this way every once in a
Cool.
while. They're
They're
coming
big
from
animals, I
there.
don't know, be a lot of meat.
Yeah,
It'd be really cool to have an elk in the freezer. Be be good eating.
certainly would. You don't you don't feel bad if you, miss out on a
Yeah,
deer.
no, definitely not. That would be a good excuse for pitching to my wife and family about going on elk hunt is like, well, I mean, this way, if I get an elk, we got lots of meat, and now I don't have to worry about deer hunting as much, which wouldn't be true. I'd get the whitetail fever the second I'm back in my home state, but
Have you
I
ever
like
eaten
it.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's delicious. Makes awesome burgers, and, I had a guy I worked with, he hooked me up with, I don't know, 4 or 5 pounds of burger, all ground, ready to go, and that was awesome. And then, I also had a roast, which I just slow cooked. I didn't know what else to do with it, and I slow cooked it, and it was awesome with carrots and
That's
potatoes.
a hearty meal.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a little bit of time left. Do you feel like you could quickly cover on I know you don't have time right now to go and do it per se, but it would be a good exercise to head to your house and I know you're using the Paper Tuners product. I would love to throw some bear shaft arrows, or I don't know if it's bear shaft tuning. Bear shaft tuning is the prerequisite to paper tuning, but
There
I think paper
that's
tuning would be plenty for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think with the time frame we have, we're gonna have to just paper tune what you have. the right way would be to start all over. You know, the right way would be to start all over. Strip your arrows of their fletchings, clean them up, and start bare shaft tuning. Now that's going to send you down a whole nother rabbit hole of possible confusion and a whole lot of frustration. And you're not just tuning one, you're tuning multiple arrows, or you're trying to tune your bow, get that thing squared away first, and then you're trying to find the inconsistencies in the arrows and tune that out of the arrows, if that makes sense. Whether that's truing up the ends differently, changing point weights, that's a huge undertaking. Like you could spend all summer
Well, that's a lot of
thinking
reps
around
too,
trying
and
to
so you
tune a
have to
dozen
watch your
arrows.
timing too, because if you
It is.
do it for an extended period at a time, you could be introducing fatigue, which could be skewing your results. So, like, you can only get so many shots
Yeah.
fired before you start, like, it's like a hot
Right.
barrel, you know, it's a oh my gosh, a sore shoulder. Oh, that was hard to say.
Sore shoulder.
You know, and that'll have now you're, wobbling all over trying to hold her steady and you can't, which is my problem that I had when we were out the other day. Like, "You need to rest." I'm like, "No, I know, but I also wanna shoot," and it was tricky for me. It was a hard day.
Yeah. Yeah, without being 100% right on the money. I mean, the arrows were as good as they were going to get. You know, .003 tolerance. It's a
Yeah.
pretty straight arrow. Um, your spine is probably right where it needs to be for, we'll say, 65 pounds, because I know your bow is not
No,
set
I
at a full
forgot what he did
70.
it to, but whatever we had it at first, I was like, "You gotta drop it down. It's too painful. I can't, do this consistently." And so I think, yeah, maybe it's at 60 or 65. And it's definitely shooting slower than yours, and
Okay.
I think it's certainly capable of shooting faster, but I'm not in a spot right now
Yep.
with this debacle is on my damn left arm to be able to draw that back without fear of, like, having a problem.
Yeah. Mine was ripping them out there pretty good. I had to make an adjustment. We made a slight adjustment to the rest, and then I started to notice a bit of a fishtail. So that arrow was
I never adjusted the rest. So do you think
was
was your rest
cooking
off
something.
left to right where it was hitting the fletching? Is that what you're saying?
No, it wasn't. It was just point of impact. I was running out of room to adjust my sight. So we gave just a slight nudge to the rest, and then things started going wacky. So I'm going to have to probably bring it back more to center, because he did a great job of centering the rest into the riser with the string. Everything was looking good there, and it just was running out of adjustment room with that sight.
Okay. Um,
But the paper tuner will be the ultimate test. Shoot through the paper and see how really bad we are, and then we can go, okay, we know we got to move the rest back to the right.
what's your main
Once we get
adjustments
that
when you're doing
punching
paper tuning?
holes,
Like, depending on what you see, a fishtail or whatever, what are the things that, like, are culprits by and large?
what I can, what, yeah, what I can do in my basement is just adjust rest height. Uh, so windage and elevation are all I can adjust out of the rest. I can adjust on the sight too, but really, when you're paper tuning, you you're changing trajectory and causing interference from the launch point. So if you're not directly straight on, say you're canted just a little bit by moving that rest over, you're pushing it almost sideways a little bit, and that's what's going to cause an arrow to fishtail or nose down or nose up.
So rest is
It's
the
launching point.
main thing to, and I can see
Yeah,
the one I have on the wall over here, you know?
it's that, and then you know twisting cables to preload limbs to reposition your string point. Because when you're twisting cables, you're actually taking a cam. Say if it were straight and you twisted the cable on this side to load up, it'll actually put more tension on it and tip the cam a little bit, changing your string angle.
Alright,
There's a lot of
I give
things
up.
that we could go
Yeah,
off. Yeah, see,
no, I
yep,
would just
we
be like,
lost
"Watch
you
out."
already. Stick a
Jeez, and it's
fork in
all
'em,
gotta
he's
be
done.
tuned per how you shoot, how you have anchor points, what your draw length
Right.
is, like, you can't have someone else tune your bow for you.
That's why
Like,
well, they use a hooter shooter, which is a shooting device that can it takes the human element out of it, so it makes sure the bow is on. Now, the human side of it is what's gonna screw it up. You're tuning it to your
hmm.
deficiencies, more
Yeah,
or
perfectly
less.
tuned bow doesn't mean much if the shooter's not aligned with how that bow is tuned, like, it does need to be tuned to the person, not just the bow.
Right. That's why I think it's very important to go shoot multiple different bows because you might shoot you know, a Matthews terribly and pick up your bear and be able to, shoot lights out. Everything fits you perfect, it fits your deficiencies or a
Whatever,
prime
yeah.
or, whatever, pick your
Andrew
brand.
asked where the grit stick's spine aligned.
I mean, we didn't do anything with them. They were built by Grizzly Stick for us. This is the first time I've actually gotten arrows that were built for me versus me getting them spined, checking, see where the spine is, marking it, and then fletching it accordingly after
So does
paper
that make you
tuning
feel
the
good
bear
that you're not
shaft.
tinkering around with all that?
Mm, it it's different. I
What
don't
I
know if
thought
it
was
makes me
funny,
feel
Greg,
good, but
is
it's
our
different.
first 3 shots were in the exact same spots. Like, when we were first just sending arrows downrange, like, I was low, you were low. I was high, you were high. I was on the money, basically, you were on the money. And it was just funny that it worked out that way. I thought that was just kind of like we're like neck and neck, we're in the same league right now, buddy. So it'll be
Yes,
fun when we get
indeed.
out to 3D courses, how that's gonna pan out. Hopefully I don't lose a shit ton of arrows like I seem to do every year doing that stuff.
Yep. Andrew used to build for Method, so that would explain a lot. Yeah, I would get shafts from Isaac, and he would index them for me and everything, and I would build my own. I tinkered a lot. There's a whole pile of Method and
I have a
Vector arrow
lot
shafts in my
here
basement
as
here.
well, and I talk to Isaac quite frequently, so more to come from all that. Uh, but I told Isaac the other day, I'm like, "Dude, you know me, I mean, you can go back to the day that I came to shoot some random archery league with you and Jeff." Hold up, but I didn't have any arrows.
Yeah,
I was like, "I don't know, I could come shoot."
those arrows were
I
leaving your bow
bought arrows from the archery
sideways.
shop right then and there, sent them down range and didn't do
If
terrible. Obviously, they weren't deer killing arrows, but it was
no, I mean after the arrow straightened out in midair, it hit kind of where you were aiming. If we were to shoot that thing through paper, it would have looked like we threw a boomerang
so
through it.
I'm pretty good at making do with what I got kinda thing. Like, I'm a
Yeah.
pretty adaptive
Well, and
shooter,
I
I
mean,
would
let's
say.
be honest, that's how the Native Americans did it. Like, they made things out of stone and sticks and sinew, and
Yeah, yeah.
they made it work.
It's like you get
They
that
figured
car and you're
out,
like, you gotta turn the key just so or fidget with this thing just right. Like, you start to learn what those things are, and you just like when you have pain in your lower back or whatever, you adjust accordingly. Like, I'm not saying maybe my bow is perfect and I'm all the problem. I don't really know, but I seem to be able to figure out what I need to do and can make it work.
get your arm fixed up, and then you're gonna
That'll feel
find out.
great. If I just get my arm fixed, it'll just feel better. It won't like the drawing back was not a fun experience, but it's tolerable, but it wasn't fun. That wasn't something I wanna just not have to deal with that. I was watching some, just videos on social people doing tack, and these guys are drawn back like nothing. I'm like, "That ain't me. Not right now." I was really envious of that. You take things for granted, like just being able to draw a bow back. So,
Yep.
I don't have to buy a crossbow yet. I'm still okay for the moment. It's not looking pretty though. Uh I mean, I don't know. This is all good stuff. Just shooting your bow is helpful. It's a good stress reliever. It's a good activity to just go do to find some peace and solitude in your day. More than anything else, shooting archery is just. I mean, I find just shooting archery, let alone hunting. I love all of it, but there's something about shooting a bow that is sending those arrows down range, it's calming and it just feels good. I was in a good mood that day and the next day when I shot, like, it feels good to shoot. So, and yeah, no shame in the crossbow game, but I don't even know what it is. It's just
No,
like
I
a thing.
mean,
Like
when it
actually,
comes to
crossbows
hunting,
intimidate the shit out of me. That's a lot of stored energy. Is my concern. It's a powerful, powerful weapon. Those things shoot very fast. Like they're stupid fast. I'd probably kill a lot more deer if I had a crossbow.
or you'd be trying to take shots you
No, I
shouldn't
don't think I'd
take.
be a cowboy. But if I just consider the two deer I had in the sights last year, like yeah, I mean, I probably would f that up. I don't know. Raven's got a really cool crossbow, the R18. It's tiny. It weighs nothing. It's like it's so small and compact that if I were to get one, that's the one I would get because I could bring that up the saddle with me. Any other crossbow, it's like lugging on a freaking rifle. They're huge and they're heavy. This other one that these guys have is it's just as powerful and quick, and it's very small and very light. So I can't say I'm not tempted to try something like that. It'd be cool to have as another option. Like, you know what? I clearly can't kill this deer with my regular bow. I'm gonna go in with this crossbow. I don't know. Food for thought.
Well, going back to the beginning of the
Yeah, you're
conversation,
right.
give and take,
I mean, it's a one shot. Like with archery, you're getting one shot anyways.
and it's
They're
not as
louder.
easy. It's really not as easy, especially if you're up in a tree via a
Yeah,
saddle or a stand. Yeah, you know, you have it cocked and ready to go, but now you have to pick that thing
you
up
got to have it
and
in your
position it.
shoulder, and you got to pivot your waist and your torso in such a way that you can, you know, I guess you gotta do that with your bow too, but it feels different. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I've killed a few deer out of the saddle with the rifle, and it's leaps and bounds better than shooting a deer out of a tree stand
You'd
with
be
a
the
rifle.
first on social to push an Ashby special bolt. Is there a bolt for crossbows by Ashby that I'm not aware of?
No, but
Oh
where
boy.
there's a will, there's a way.
I don't know why they call them a bolt, but you can't shoot those things into regular 3D targets. They
Half an
they
arrow.
go so
No,
fast, they, like, melt in the
no,
target,
you're
you
not.
can't pull them out. You gotta shoot into special targets with those. Or hay or whatever,
Yeah.
like, those things are I mean, it's pretty freaking crazy. But if I learned that, um, crossbows, I mean, they need to be stored not cocked back. And there's an equation that and I don't know if there's, like, a rule of thumb, but they will break or they will blow up, and people will be like, "Hey, I only shot this thing once. Like, how on earth did it break?" It's like, "Well, you stored it cocked, and every minute it's
Yeah.
cocked or every hour it's cocked counts for X amount of shots because you're putting stress on the hardware, on the strings, on the limbs. And so if it's cocked back for a long time, you're
Yep.
stressing out the components at an accelerated rate. So it's weird because if you go on a hunt, like, yeah, you'd probably want to cock it back. I don't think you'd cock it back before you get to your spot, but maybe you would, because like, what if you see something? So then there's maybe that decision-making battle you gotta go through, then you get to the tree, then you cock it back, maybe once you're positioned or up or tethered in, and then that whole duration of the hunt counts for X amount of shots because of the stored energy. So even though you maybe have only shot it once, literally, or never, it still will have had a number of wear and tear on it, number of, like, shot like wear and tear on it. So people will be like, I never even shot this thing and it broke on me. Piece of shit. It's like, well, how long did you have a cock back? Well, I put it away in my bow case in September and opened up in August and it broke. It's like, well, yeah, it was you can't do that.
Yeah, you were
Yeah.
preloading it the
So
entire
PSA
time.
for anybody out there with crossbows, don't store them cocked and realize that a cocked or a whatever, an engaged crossbow is the equivalent. I don't, you have to look up the number, but there's an equivalency that exists there of like X amount of shots. So fun, good topic, Greg. Thanks for walking me through all this stuff.
Yeah, I did a pretty good job of
It's not
confusing the
difficult
hell out
again
of
for
you.
me. Not at all. No calls. The hell, guys, gals, no calls.
Busy fishing weather.
Maybe. Yeah, it's raining, but I suppose that is fishing weather if you got the right rain gear.
Fish don't know the difference. They're always wet anyway.
Barometric pressure would say otherwise. But
Yeah.
well, you got an Okayest Fisher podcast dropping soon. I got to put that out for you. Did you get the artwork in there?
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Once
Nope,
that's
but
done,
I
it's
will.
done. We got podcasts dropping all week, every week from all the shows on our network. We got 10 of them on the network, from Camp Okayest with Ritter. That's our most recent one, talking about all sorts of things outdoors, to Okayest Fishing with Greg and Matt. We got the Southern U, which is Southern Land Management Habitat stuff. Really cool podcast. We got the Okayest Trapper, Western Territory with Levi out in Wyoming. I'm missing stuff, I'm sure. Upduck. The Upduck guys are good stuff if you're into waterfowl and dog training and upland. That's why it's called Upduck, because it's mixing those two worlds with the through line of dogs. So lots of shows on the network. More to come. More are launching. It's not about more, it is about quality, but we are covering off on a lot of different outdoor segments, categories, verticals, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, stay tuned to the Okayest Podcast Network each week to get your fix in the outdoors. And there we go. Alec Becker said it best. What's up, Duck?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy how we went from a couple things to all of a sudden we're a network.
That was your
and
fault, by the way. I blame you 100%. You and Matt.
Whatever, it's fine.
We want to do a
That's fine.
fishing podcast. Can we, Dad? Can we? That's what it felt like. It's like the Wedding Crashers scene. You'll say anything to make this happen. Yeah.
Yep.
So stay tuned for that. Foam Fest on the calendar, like I'd mentioned, August 31st. Should be a good time. We're giving away a couple of bare bows, a whole bunch of gear from our partners, potentially non-partners as well. We have a lot of other brands that seem to enjoy chit-chatting with us every now and again, and we'd be happy to help our listeners out and the people that want to come and attend. So I suspect it'll be a good smorgasbord or cornucopia of gear you can win there. And obviously, shoot your bow, have fun, hang out, drink a couple beers, and just have a good time. Hopefully weather is cooperative. It has been the last 2 years in a row, fortunately. A little bit of rain both times, but not till the end, and it wasn't bad. So I think I covered everything that I'm supposed to cover. Well, thanks for tuning in, folks.
Cool.
You have a good week. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode. Next week, we're going to talk about how to chug a beer.
Chug a beer. I'll be in Texas next week, so
cool.
That'll be fun.
We'll find a guest for next week. If anyone's got any ideas, thoughts, inspiration, you can always shoot us a message on Instagram through our DM. If you're not on IG, where we spend a lot of time as a brand, you can always just email us at sales@okayesthunter.com, or you can go to our website, okayesthunter.com, and send an email through our forum post submission and poke around over there. Our Can't Eat the Horn hats are going to be back in stock end of this month, end of June, early July, somewhere in there. So stand by, stay tuned. We've been out of inventory on those for some time, but we redid our supply chain and found some new vendors. So it's taken a little bit of time to get that all buttoned up, but excited we had to do a lot of quality control on that. So hopefully that's coming back soon. Thanks for the chat. Next week's for sure call-in special. Yeah. I don't, Greg, you know that show? Maybe you don't know. It was Epic Mealtime on YouTube a long time ago. They would end every show by being like, next week, we eat glass. It's like, but they never did the thing that they said. It was just like this really funny thing to end the show. So I feel like I want to be like, next week, we're going to talk to a bobcat.
As long as you don't say something weird like we're going to
Next week,
we're going to milk a bobcat.
I got nipples, fucker. Can you milk me? Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
I was going to say Greg, but you're not going to be here, so keep your nipples to yourself. Yeah. All right, guys, gals, have a good week. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you later.
Keep your shirt on.